Is lunchtime, and I had about 10 to 12 of these grapes about 15 minutes ago, and now I'm going to be having this for lunch. I've got 3 ounces of a rib roast that was in the oven, and then I've got roasted veggies here, and let's see, and then I've got salad with some of the Bolthouse Farms ranch, about a tablespoon of that.
Hey everybody, Sunday evening, giving Shane a ride in a bike trailer, and just having a nice evening. We actually buried our poor little fish, Jeffrey, because Jeffrey passed away over the past few days. He was a beta fish, and he lost all of his color, and then just floated. He really fought for it for a really long time, but it was just time. He was really old. I mean, I'm not quite sure how long beta fish live, but we had him for like about 4 years, maybe 3. I don't know. It's a long time. Sweet little guy. He's always there on the counter when I was cooking. I'm gonna miss him. So anyway, we buried him under a little rose bush. So that's Jeffrey's rose bush. Alright, see you in a bit. So I forgot to tell you this morning, we were kind of running late to go to church, so I just got one of those Trader Joe's Middle Eastern flatbreads, and then like a 1/4 cup of refried no-fat beans, and I don't know, a tablespoon of fat-free cheese, and then heated that up, and that was my breakfast. It was about 6 points, and then I've still got like 13, even after that smoothie, I still have like 13 points left tonight, so I don't know if I'll have dinner or what. I know I shouldn't be leaving that many points on the table, but I mean, I'm only going to eat if I'm hungry, so we'll see.
Here's my dinner. I'm having 2 points of chicken and veggie soup, homemade, and then I'm having 0 point kimchi because kimchi goes with everything, and 2 lettuce roll-ups with let's see, Black Forest ham, the Oscar Mayer, and the ultra thin Sargento cheese. Just 1 slice, which I divvied up into 2. So these are 4 points, 5, 6 points. 6 points for this dinner. Good morning. Good morning. It's Monday morning, and we're back at work here. And I wanted to show you what I was having for breakfast.
Here's my fruit I'm having first, and then I'm going to wait about 20 minutes or so, and then I'll have something else. So I've got 4 little figs, they're pretty small, and then about a 1/2 cup of blueberries and like a 1/4 cup of mango on top of that. And I'm just going to have that, and fruit digests really fast, so a lot faster than other foods. So I'm going to have that first and let that move through my system before I start piling on something else that takes a little longer. That way I don't get this fermented, bloatedness going on in my stomach.
Here's my 7-point breakfast now because my fruit was 0. So I've got a 1/2 cup dry and then cooked Quaker Oats oatmeal, and then I've got a 1/4 cup of the shredded wheat on top for a little crunch. Lots of fiber here, and then I've got 2 tablespoons of the PB Fit in here for the protein, and that's my breakfast. Ready? Okay, it's Monday morning, so I have a break in the day, and I wanted to talk to you for a second. I have been starting to institute something. I like to do different things while I'm staying within the perimeters of Weight Watchers, and the reason why I think that's so great is that no matter what you're doing, no matter what, our life, the journey is more fun with variety, I think. And some things work better than other things at certain times in our lives. And I think for me, I love to experiment, and I love to put different things into practice that I know are going to work for me from time to time. But I do like to stay within the perimeters of Weight Watchers and still counting points, because no matter what I'm doing, the simple fact of the matter is that the points still give me the range of calories that my body needs to function. No matter what else I'm doing, I know that if I stay within those points, I'm still going to end up with, my foods may vary and the way that they may affect me may vary, but within those points perimeters, I am am somewhat safe. You know what I mean? So I know there's not going to be an incredible, crazy amount of weight gain or something like that. The journey will always be better. You can always make the journey better within those perimeters by the choices that you make. So anyway, I want to make the choices that are going to suit me the best and make the most and the best difference in my life. So one of the things that I realize is that I have been having too much sugar in the recent past, mostly because I knew all these celebrations were coming up, and I just kind of like had fun, you know, and but there's always a price to pay for that. So what I ended up doing was, I have a condition that's known as IC. It's interstitial cystitis. It will be with me lifelong. So sometimes I'm in remission, sometimes I have a flare-up. Flare-ups are very difficult, and inflammation can get that going. And it sets off kind of like a domino effect on my immune system, which I think had happened within the last couple of weeks, which I did not tell you about. I've just been dealing with that. And you know, so what happens is, if it snowballs, you know what I mean? It's a bladder condition, and it's got, basically there's, I hate to be so graphic, but there's basically cracks in your bladder. And it doesn't bother me any other time, but if I have a lot of acidic foods, or if I have something that causes inflammation, like a lot of sugar or something, it will cause my bladder and the muscles around it to become inflamed. And if I have anything acidic, it's literally like pouring acid in there, and it lets off a whole immune system effect. Domino effect happens, all kinds of different symptoms, and one infection leads to another. And so anyway, I had been on antibiotics. Last week I was on antibiotics, which I didn't tell you about, but I'm telling you about that now because it did set off a UTI. Well, then those antibiotics set off yet another infection, which can be fed by sugar. So now that that's over, it's I just need to cut the sugars out for a little bit, and then I'm definitely going to be sticking with my sugar dates. So but I don't know if I'll have one for a while. Let's see how that goes. It just depends on how my health is looking. But anyway, so you know, I was thinking about, how do I do this the best way? You know what I mean? Because I know on Weight Watchers, everything is allowed and permissible, granted you have the points for it. But like I was saying, not all things are, even if they're permissible, it doesn't mean that they're beneficial. What is the most beneficial for your body? And so for my body is going to be as little as refined sugar as possible. And not only that, but the derivatives of that, which would be like sugar, white flour, and other things that quickly turn into kind of like a sugar. And at the same time, I can take down those pounds. So why not do it? Well, I was remembering that one of the things that I've done in my life that has been the most successful is to actually implement, and I don't know how many of you remember this diet out there, but a diet, lifestyle, however you want to call it, but Somersizing. Suzanne Somers had come up with, she's a brilliant woman when it comes to, you know, foods and bioidenticals and a lot of health things. So if you're not familiar with some of her work, you know, she's done a number of books on age and hormones and things like that, and worked with a lot of doctors, and it's just really wonderful information. But she came up with this really wonderful diet plan, and at the time I was just like, I think, oh gosh, it was like 15 years ago is when I first found it. And our eldest son, Calvin, was very much overweight at the time, and so we both went on the Somersizing is what it's called. And we had marvelous success about it, and it really taught us about it. The basic premise is food combining, but there are a lot of foods that she takes out of the program, especially in the preliminary stages. And some of those, she has them listed, are white flour, sugar, you know, refined sugars. She does take potatoes out, white rice. She uses a lot of whole grains. It's a very, very healthy diet. She does separate the fruit and eats the fruit first. And there's a couple of different, I'll talk about it maybe in my next video because this one's getting a little long. But what you're going to see is you're going to be seeing me use these practices in the program in food combining. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm staying on Weight Watchers, I'm staying in those perimeters, but I'm going to be using those food combination concepts from her books. And so my foods are going to look different. So it means that I'm not going to be having, olives and avocados, as wonderful as those are right now in these preliminary stages. Those are taken out. So the reason why is because they're considered funky foods. They have carbs and proteins, and in food combining you separate things, and so it's supposed to aid digestion a lot better, and your body utilizes it a lot more efficiently, and so you're going to be seeing what I'm doing in my foods, which isn't going to look too much different than what I've been doing, but there will definitely be some differences, like this morning separating my fruit from my complex carbs in order for better and quicker digestion. And so anyway, I'll explain to you a little bit along the way what I'm doing, but I'll show you some of the books that I have here from her. I've had all of her books throughout the years, and then I gave them all up, and then I went out and I found a whole bunch of these again. I started collecting them again. This is the latest one. You can still find it out on the shelf right now, and this is kind of accumulation of all of her books and with the most updated revisions. So for example, this morning in my oatmeal, normally one of the things that she does take out of the diet is nuts. And the reason why is because they are funky. They have carbs and fats and proteins as well. And so that actually, that holds things up a little bit digestion-wise. I think nuts are very good for you on in certain ways and stuff, but there's a time and a place for them. And when you're trying to lose the weight, it is a little harder when you have them, or when I do anyway. So she does take those out in the preliminaries. But except this morning I added the PB Fit, and the reason why was because I did not have any non-fat yogurt to add to my carbs. And in food combining, when you have carbs, you don't have fats with them. And so, but PB Fit was not around when the program first started. And because they take all the fat out of PB Fit, not all of it, there's very, very, very little bit of I think there's like 1 gram of fat in PB Fit. So I went ahead and used it in my oatmeal for protein. So little things like that, there's going to be a difference. But so what I'm doing is I'm going about it this time with all the knowledge I have about it and my body in the past. And hopefully I can do this and just be smart about it and just have a better effect even than I had years ago, which I have to tell you, this program works phenomenally. It is really amazing. You're always satisfied, you're never hungry, and the digestion runs like clockwork. I mean, you never have heartburn or anything like that, and you don't get bloating, and it really is a wonderful program. And when I was talking to Calvin recently, I was asking him what he was doing. He's actually doing really well, and he's taking off some weight. And I said, what are you doing? He was starting out by doing intermittent fasting, but then he said, you know what, Mom, he says, I'll intermittent fast, but I generally just, whenever I want to take off weight, it's very easy. I just stick to the guidelines that we learned in Somersizing, and it comes right off. And so I thought, yeah, you know what? It did come off like super easy. But one of the things that I think would be hard, especially getting older, I need to remember that I have to stay within perimeters of how much my body really requires too. So that's where Weight Watchers comes in, and it's so wonderful because I have that perimeter of this is the amount of calories that I need for the day for my body, and yet I can use Somersizing in there to make it that much more effective. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know what I was doing, and so you can kind of see how I put that into effect with my foods, and I'll let you know how it goes. All right, love you guys. See you in a bit. Bye.